Okay. Yep.
Well, we're live already, man. There's no intro coming for that one.
No intro. Oh my God in heaven, man. That
Now, folks, we always tell you, don't believe the hype. Make up your own mind. Decide with your wallet. The Acolyte spits in the face of all that. Listen to what you've heard. It's as bad as you think it could be and a lot worse. The Acolyte is here, and the Acolyte... I'm talking to Dion about this as I'm watching the show. Acolyte is... Is it the worst Star Wars thing ever? Maybe. All right. It could be there already. That is no joke.
if that's the record they are looking to break, they are putting forth a valiant effort to show as such, because oh my God. All right, here's the real setup. Here's how y'all know that this is actually that bad. People in the chat, you guys know, sometimes give me pushback on this. I tell y'all, guys, don't use the hyperbole. Like Jeff said, don't fall for the hype. Sometimes people, because it gains clicks and all of that, oh, this is the worst thing ever, blah, 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 blah. It's this, it's that, right? Because that's easy. That gains views. And I'm usually the voice of reason, as is Jeff, in terms of like, guys, all right, yeah, it's not good. This is not worth your time. It's not worth your money. It's certainly not worth giving Disney your view. But it's not like it's the absolute worst thing ever. The Acolyte might actually be the worst thing ever in terms of Disney Star Wars.
Yes.
So if it's coming from me, when I usually try to be a bit more conservative with throwing around that type of language, trust me, it's bad.
It's more than bad. It's terrible. Now, folks, this is not the review. I am going to be reviewing the show like I put out the videos. So to all of our new subscribers, welcome. You will have a review the way you want, written out for tomorrow. There's no way I could have, in the last 40 minutes, knocked out a video review. But, folks, we're going to talk about the Acolyte. And I guess we're going to start from the beginning, because it was originally only planned that we were going to watch the first episode and do the review. Well, I hadn't checked my phone and didn't realize that I didn't return Andrew's message about the login. So he logged in when I was about done with the first episode, and I thought, fuck it, let's watch the second one. It can't be any worse. That's really...
It's worse.
It is in every single way. Like,
it's worse.
Like, folks, we got to tell you, the acting is bad. The premise is bad. The execution is bad. The designs are bad. Like, everything about the Acolyte is embarrassing.
This is the actual meme. Your decisions are bad and you should feel bad.
Exactly. You should feel about like P-Dub says, this seems to be seen this coming to get woke, go broke. Look, it is the most diverse Star Wars series ever. The only white people get killed. Like, seriously, the only white people
the only people we've seen get killed so far.
Yes, the white woman is the first to go, and then the white man. And we're going to talk about this in detail, folks. This is spoiler heavy. So
oh my God.
Vague round table where we talk about theories and discussions. This is not the show for you.
No.
We would recommend you find another safer place to go hear people talk about the Acolyte in a fluffier way. I don't want free tickets to Disney World. I just want the audience. So, folks, let's talk about the Acolyte, because it is here, it is bad, and it is the worst Star Wars thing at this point. Like, if this gets any dumber, it just won't be a functional show. Like, it'll be like if characters stop and break the fourth wall while other characters talk and they look back at the other character. Like, it'll be a broken show if it is any worse, because this thing has no sort of excitement behind it. You know, Andrew, when you talk about great mysteries or great reveals, hell, even in the Star Wars universe, a great reveal, the greatest reveal in cinema, maybe Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. There is a chill revelation. There is tension. There is drama. There is build to this huge franchise-altering ordeal. And in this show, when they try to present something as mildly, and this is supposed to be like a big game changer for the series, it's just like, like the mystery of the Acolyte is solved and ruined in about 5 minutes.
It's true.
Trinity from the Matrix is bait and switch like Bryan Cranston in Godzilla 2014 TLJ Screwjob. Yes, it is actually that. Hey, folks, you know that scene you saw of Carrie-Anne Moss fighting in the bar? You've seen every appearance she'll ever have in The Acolyte. That is her entire run in the show because she gets killed by a ninja throwing star. She's trying to save this guy from getting murdered by the Acolyte. And when she uses the Force to save him, it means that her defenses are down and she opens herself up to an attack. And so she is now dead. That's like the first 4 to 5 minutes, maybe? Like
5 minutes tops.
Yeah, she's in there for 5 minutes. Yes. Just like Max von Sydow in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, we get a like, oh hey, do you remember the Matrix? Type of a freaking bar fight with Carrie-Anne Moss, and they're like, oh yeah, I was a kid when the Matrix came out. I remember Trinity. And this isn't nearly as good as that. And then she just dies. She dies in a really stupid way when she's presented to be a Jedi Master.
Well, you know, they gotta have reasons that you can kill these superheroes because you gotta make them. Here's when you overuse a plot or a trope or an element, even in a video game, when you overuse your powerful move, they lose efficacy after a while. Disney has wanted to do nothing but Jedi-based shit. Even The Mandalorian is very heavy into Jedi-based shit. They had to bring in Ahsoka and Taya and Luke Skywalker
and Luke,
do all that stuff. They cannot do anything bereft of Jedi and lightsaber and flippy-dippy-do bullshit. This show is that. But now, when you're trying to have the Jedi at their height, you have to make them able to be killed, and so you have to make them dumber because plot armor doesn't go for logic and reasoning. Plot armor is just because plot, as they always like to say. So this show features dumb decisions. Like, I'm going to wait till we get to the second episode part, but the worst decision in the history of Star Wars is in the second episode. Like, I don't normally scream out what when I watch TV shows because I'm not watching wrestling and I'm not chanting along with the crowd the Stone Cold Steve Austin's bullshit. I usually, when I react to something on TV, it's either, whoa, that was awesome, or holy shit, that was awesome. I went, what? When I saw the thing that happened in this moment. Like, I can't believe how bad it was. I can't believe that it was actually a thing. And Andrew, I'm so glad that you watched the second episode to experience it, so I don't have to just go, oh, let me tell you how bad it is, and you have to guess. Like, you saw it, you reacted to it, and you went, what the fuck is this?
Dude, I was saying that basically the entire time I was watching this show. What the fuck is this? It was just, the first episode was almost 40 minutes. What is with the Disney Plus Star Wars shows having like 5 to 6 minutes worth of credits on a show with like a 30-minute runtime?
It's all the Disney Plus series because they have to do all the localization credits and all the CGI people. Like, those shows have, look, we can count the number, but think of all the people in the production of that show. Like, there has to be how many visual artists to match the, because, you know, the CGI spaceship scene looks fine. Like, that really isn't something we can tear apart. Like, the effects there are not bad. Like,
the effects they're fine. Yeah.
It looks as good as cinematic Star Wars because it's just flying through space and then it kind of crash lands. What is it with Disney characters being invincible, Andrew? How come they can survive being stabbed by lightsabers? She
survived that crash like a pro.
Yeah. By the way, Sith Corp, my camera is delayed, but you guys are hearing me in real time. So I know it's kind of still kind of distracting at times, but I don't know what happened. I've updated the computer, I've updated the PC software for the mic and the camera, everything, and I just don't know. So sorry, but maybe I'll keep my gesticulation to a minimum. That way it looks like I'm still doing it the right way. How's that? Is it better? Do I look like an old kung fu movie? Have you killed my uncle? Prepare to die? Yeah.
Perfect. That's forever going to be my my headcanon for the channel now.
Jeff lives in a kung fu movie?
Yep.
All right. Taylor Swift's greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU, and Doctor Who says how it's compared to LOL, X-Men, a crocalypse. It is a crock. I'll tell you that. Folks, by the way, You can help support the channel by hitting that thumbs up button, letting YouTube know that you enjoy this content, and go to Kickstarter and check out Wokebusters. Folks, we are about to start our push for it. The first couple of days, here we are. We're over 10%. I'm very happy with that. Now you get to see the emails, you get to see the commercials, you get to see so much more of Wokebusters. And I've decided to tie in storytelling elements. Now, if you're not going to be getting the emails and stuff like that, that's okay. I'll make some of those fun things available on social media as well, so you don't miss out on the stories, the hype, and the podcast coming to promote Wokebusters in a way you've never seen before. Told you, folks. Got some creative ideas. Just keep watching. Thank you to all the people who've been watching the videos of me drawing the pages. Tomorrow we have a fun page. Well, every page I'm going to be sharing is fun. Wokebusters is full of fun pages. Like I told you guys, it's not a bunch of people standing around talking. It's action, adventure, car chases, monsters, you name it. Go to wokebusterscomic.com right now.
All things I love.
Oh, yeah. And a kaiju, man. You definitely are going to love it. So, folks, countdown is on. Limited time only. Wokebusters comic. Check it out right now. So let's start talking about the show. Enrique Vasquez says, spoil away, Jeff. We are not going to see it. No, you're not going to go watch this show, folks. I know you're not going to watch this show. So we're going to talk about it for you right now.
We're going to tell you why you shouldn't.
So the premise of this show is simple. This lady with longer dreads is on a revenge tour to kill 4 Jedi who wronged her 16 years ago. And we are watching her go down and hunt these Jedi. And she has ninja skills, we should say. She's like a Jedi, but she doesn't use a lightsaber. She uses ninja throwing stars like Batman. So I guess that's different. Anyway, we see her track down Carrie-Anne Moss in this bar. They fight. She wins. Carrie-Anne Moss is dead and no longer a part of the show. We move on to what looks like her, the Acolyte lady, on a spaceship where she wakes up and she interacts with some crew, and we see her outside of a spaceship. And then what goes on next, Andrew? Like, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Like, we keep cutting back between her and the Jedi, and they're trying to hunt down this Jedi killer.
Yeah, so Jedi Bro, as I've been calling him, what the hell is his actual name? It's something stupid. Yord. Yord, who has the most stereotypical for 2023 and 2024, I guess right now, black male hairstyle, because that's the in thing for entertainment, I guess. That's what all the black characters have, as though black men can only do their hair one way, I guess. So that's what entertainment has led me to believe. He shows up, and he's apparently like an old, acquaintance of hers back in the Jedi Order. So there's this other chick that we think initially for about 5 seconds, all of 5 seconds, is the same chick as the one that killed Carrie-Anne Moss. He goes to her inside this ship where she's working. It's like a Trade Federation ship, right? Where she's a mechanic, basically. She's working on stuff on the outside, but he goes to find her and says, well, hey, like, you're somebody that looked like you killed a Jedi Master, the other night. She's like, well, it couldn't have been me. I was here in my room, like, at that time. And they bring in the bar owner from the bar fight. He's like, that's her, right? So for a second, we think it's still her. And it only takes us, like, I don't know, 10 more minutes to learn that she had a twin. They just throw the whole mystery out. Like, it's like you didn't even try to keep people guessing. By the end of the first episode, we already know, oh, she has a twin. Okay, so, like, we're going with the twin trope. One of them's bad.
Dude,
one of them's
not
good.
Even the end. It's like you said, about 12 minutes in, I wrote a note like, if this is an evil twin, this is really stupid.
It's not even a good evil twin story.
Oh, and real quick, since you brought up the Trade Federation, my notes say they look like pirates. So yeah, they dress like pirates. They have the fucking pirate hats and the sashes and like the things on the shoulders. They look like pirates. It's kind of, and
they talk like just Joe Blow would, which bothers me, because Trade Federation Nemoidians have a certain way that they speak and a certain way that they sound, and that's the way that they always will forever for me. And the ones that you hear talk in this episode sound like their name could just be Bob. And Bob is from somewhere in, I don't know, the Bay Area, California. Has like basically no accent on him. Just talks like a normal guy. No different than how I'm talking to you.
Now, yeah, that's a problem. It is stupid.
It completely takes you out of it.
Well, would you like to know why I'm taken out of the show every time they talk about the main character?
I mean, apart from the fact that she sucks.
Yes, we'll talk about that. Her name is OSHA, which stands for the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So they gave her a name
and she works as a mechanic.
No, but the thing is, like, it's a safety organization. That'd be like if I named a Star Wars character NATO Skywalker, or
terrible.
Why am I drawing a blank on any organization here? The DDO, JSIOC.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, you named her fucking OSHA. That's dumb to me. That's like naming a character after a car. Really, like, oh, this is a Hyundai. Like, why would you name a character Hyundai? Why would you name this? It's like they're trying to be diverse, so they give her like a diverse sounding name, but it's really stereotypical and stupid. Like Leslie Headland, fucking stop. Everyone out there that's
you're
like,
not creative.
No, her Russian Doll show, I believe, is produced by Rian Johnson. So his Star Wars influence is alive and well in this show, folks. If you thought Rian Johnson wasn't touching Star Wars in some form or fashion, he is still here. Yeah. Leslie Headland is the new Rian Johnson, and she is every bit the locale that he is. This shit is terrible.
Yeah.
So
this is next level bad.
So the Jedi are on this. So they capture the girl, OSHA, not her twin sister May.
Yeah.
So they capture OSHA. And then the ship is going back to the planet. It's being flown by droids. And all of a sudden, the bad guys know how to escape. They have one of these, I think it's the Decraniated people from Solo or Rogue One. And they're able to like hack the droids, break out, and escape the pods. And she's trying to like help this one guy who's got this thing on his face, like this sucker thing, like a face hugger. And after she like helps him escape, he like ditches her and leaves her to die on the ship. And so we've seen tons of movies where spaceships like crash into the planet and everyone on board dies because a spaceship is torn apart as it's ripped through the atmosphere and all that. No, not in Star Wars. This lady just puts on a seatbelt and she's okay. Like she just gets
totally
up.
Fine.
It's not like the ship doesn't crash and break apart and is dragged hundreds of feet, like maybe a quarter, half mile, maybe. Like that thing goes far. It's a big ship. It has a big thud. But she's cool. So she just gets up and goes like it's no problem.
Yeah, she's chilling. No issues whatsoever. A note on that guy that like when OSHA was locked up as a prisoner on that ship, and she was talking with like the other prisoners there that broke out and ditched her and laughed at her, which was like, oh, look at that. It's kind of like the first Pirates of the Caribbean, where the other prisoners were pointing and laughing at Jack Sparrow, who wasn't able to get away. I've never seen that before. They built up this other prisoner that leaves her at the very end, the one that had we'll just call it a face hugger on his face. They built him up and talked about him like he was like some psychotic killer or whatever. And all he does when she gets the thing off of his face is just like freak out and like it's like, okay, so he's a psychotic killer. Like he's not gonna like try and strangle her or try and kill her because he's a killer. No, nothing. No, okay, that's fine. And then 5 minutes later, he ends up captured by the Jedi. Like, how quick were they able to get a hold of him? That was wild to me. I was like, wait, the very next scene, he's in custody on Coruscant.
Yeah, it made that whole. So much of this show is irrelevant, folks.
Nothing matters.
There is a scene at the end of the second episode that literally doesn't matter. They spend the last 5 minutes doing something, and then you watch the character walk in a door as the scene. Like you think, like, oh, we're gonna get this cool revelation or this cool teaser, this cool beat to keep you coming back next week. The character just goes through a door and it closes. Like
yeah, literally that character just walks towards the camera, then the camera shifts and he's walking towards a door. He goes in the door, roll credits. Like,
It's not even an ominous door. It's the door to his house. It's like if somebody filmed. It's like a scene in Breaking Bad where Walt's just walking in. You're like, oh man, like it's not ominous because they just walked in the front door. Like, whoop de doo. Yeah, Cortanis, you're right. Not even parody can make this good. Disney Star Wars is a parody of itself, but if you want a Star Wars parody, go to stealingsolo.com and get yourself a copy right now. I've been shipping out books all the time. So there you go, folks. Check it out.
Great plug.
Yes, Buffalo Jeff does like ominous doors, melon husk. Buffalo Jeff likes a lot of things. Except even Buffalo Jeff wouldn't enjoy The Acolyte. He would find this show, well, stupid. Let's keep going on about the stupidity because I cannot believe the fact that the characters are just, the villains are just caught right away. It doesn't make sense. It's like, oh man, this huge escape. Nothing. So anyway, it's a plot point to then they have to hunt her down. So these Jedi find her and they're like, she's like, oh, I'm not evil. I'm not this, right? Is that how that goes down?
Yeah.
So they bring her to
basically, yeah. Okay. She explains to them like, hey, it's not me. That's impossible. And the only like moderately redeeming character so far in the series, Jedi Master Soul, this kind of Asian guy. He was her former master, right? And so he has like this, they keep playing it as like he has somewhat of an attachment to her still, as far as like he feels somewhat responsible for what happened to her and her sister. And like he doesn't want to believe that it was her that actually killed this other Jedi Master, Carrie-Anne Moss's character. And so he's kind of like going back and forth in terms of whether or not he actually believes it or doesn't believe it. And he gets pushed back from freaking Jedi bro, Yord, and Yord's apprentice, who I will note in the second episode outplans the Jedi Knight and the Jedi Master in the room with the better idea. And I was like, what gives? Like, is this just like a prodigy of an apprentice here, the little Padawan, or is the Jedi Knight and the Jedi Master in the room just that retarded?
Every Jedi is stupid in this show. Like, it's like, I'm not going to make the Dragon Ball comparison. No, it's just really poorly done. I can't believe we have to dumb down the characters because the writers can't create a narrative that is engaging enough for intelligent care. It's like when you make Batman stupid, you take away the element of what makes Batman Batman. And I understand the Jedi aren't meant to be Batman level of detectives, but we've kind of watched them be that level of detectives in the prequels. That is how Obi-Wan Kenobi operates. Episode 2 is a mystery. Obi-Wan is on the hunt. He is going to the archives. He's doing research. He's going and interviewing people. Like, we watch Jedi investigate. That is not out of the realm of what they do.
Sure.
In Star Wars. Not here. Like, they just are stupid. They can't figure out basic things. Folks, when the audience is 10 steps ahead of the story, that is not good storytelling.
No.
And I don't care how diverse your show is. I don't care who you know, who you worked for, what you did in the past. If what you put on screen is this level of dumb, you have failed. And there's no expectations but to have them be lowered. And we hear all the rumors from Film Threat that episode 3 is what's going to kill this show for a majority of pre-Disney Star Wars fans. Is Yoda going to get bent over a barrel? Is Yoda going to show up to do, like, what are they going to do?
Well, he has to be around. He's alive. He would be on Coruscant.
Unless it's something like Chewbacca's secretly gay. Like, I wouldn't put that above them. Like, he would be alive.
And give a whole new spin on that shower scene in Solo, wouldn't it?
Yeah, these are just... sorry, the chat is right. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out like what that rumor meant, because if that is the case, that episode 3 is where this show will die, and I already think the show's died in the first episode when they reveal the mystery and all this crap, and you go, that's it. Like, you meet the Sith bad guy. He kind of sounds like Kylo Ren.
He really kind of does. He sounds like a bit of a robotic version of Kylo, and it's just really sad because Kylo already wasn't imposing as a character, and this supposed Sith master that we see a very small glimpse of in the one episode sounds like his voice was being put through like Chat GPT or like
A
Microsoft.
vocoder.
Yeah, or like Microsoft like freaking text to speech type of a thing. And it's like this is, and everybody, like you said, everybody's incompetent in this show. Nobody is intelligent. Except for the one apprentice, like the little Padawan had the one smart moment, and that was it. Everybody else is stupid.
Dude, I'm gonna save the complaints about the green lady alien for a moment. Script Doctor, what is up, my friend? Welcome into Acolyte Postmortem. I'm calling the show dead the first week.
Yeah. Well, I apologize for being late. I was I managed to get I saw both episodes. I just finished the second one a minute ago. To your point
I'm
about
sorry.
this mysterious trainer, there's a huge contradiction in their lines because he says you have to kill the Jedi without weapons, and it's like, well, she just killed one with a weapon, so what the heck is he talking about? Like he's
Killed her. She killed her basically with a kunai.
Yeah. This is very much a this reminds me of when I was much younger and I had some like I was like 10 or 11 and I had friends that were girls that were trying to, come up with ideas for what we would play at the playground at school. And it screams of desperation where they're just trying to think like, what would a guy think is cool as opposed to what would be a cool story. And there's a lot of martial arts fighting in this because I think Leslie Headland thinks, oh yeah, guys would like that. That's cool. Let's just do that because that's all they care about. Dumb guys care about that. General audiences want something more. And this show is very much lacking of that. And the other part too is that there's a very sad. I mean, it's written by someone who unfortunately does have better writing credits in history than Dave Filoni, but she still is not very competent in the fact that you have in the first half of episode 1, you have the Jedi question Osha asking her, where were you yesterday? She's like, I was on this spaceship, this spaceship that's nowhere near the sector of where this murder happened. And they think, and then the barkeep comes in and says, that was her. It's like, well, no, there's a thing called alibis, and the entire crew would be there to say she was here the entire time and we were nowhere near the sector. And I know hyperspace travel allows you, at least in this Disney Star Wars, to travel from one point to the galaxy to another within seconds. But you have to throw in the ambiguity there and the mystery to build it up as to, okay, so this guy positively ID'd her as being there to have killed this Jedi, but we have dozens of other crew members saying, nope, she was here the entire time. The flight records say she was here the entire time. Clearly, there's an imposter. Why would this person be impersonating you? So instead, we're not going to arrest you. We're just going to protect you so that we can find out who is actually doing these murders, as opposed to just the jumping to, let's throw her in a prison ship. Let's do the set piece where she gets blown up and then barely survives. And then we get the Squid Game Jedi to go after. It was very convoluted, and it was basically someone who has never seen or understood what a procedural is trying to emulate what they think it is. And that's the biggest problem with a lot of the writing today, especially with some of my compatriots and then the generation below me, is that they never look at the mechanics of how a story is told. They just copy and paste and try and reinvert and reverse engineer that way, as opposed to, okay, let's take a look at the whys to all of these things, why these choices were made this way, what they're doing. I mean, the sad fact of the matter is with the Acolyte within the first 2 episodes is that it is building off of a lot of issues that people had with the prequel trilogy. The Jedi are police officers for the Republic. They are cops to essentially they're investigating as they would a procedural, which Obi-Wan did in Attack of the Clones. It's really derivatively written. Lots of re-quotes of lines very familiar to Star Wars. For some strange reason, the York Jedi, he reminded me of the dude from Starship Troopers that stole Carmen from Johnny Rico, but he's obviously the
Xander.
Yeah, he's obviously the black version. I think it's the hair and the pursy lips and eyes that he does. But yeah, he just reminded me of a jerk, even though he's kind of like right most of the time, or at least he comes across as a little bit more cautious. And it's just
he was also kind of an idiot though too in that scene where he's like trying to like get his shirt on or something.
He's like delousing it or something. I don't know.
There was zero. I texted you about this, Jeff. I was like, why did we have a scene with the Jedi? Like, obviously, Jedi have to change clothes at some point, right? But there was no point and cause for that scene where it's just like, okay, the dude, clearly he like got into good shape for the role or whatever, but he's just standing there with his shirt off and chatting with the other Jedi as they're walking in. And then it's just that awkward moment with the little girl apprentice, Padawan, who's just like, she looks at him up and down real quick and then says, "Put your clothes on," and then keeps walking. It's like, what was that scene was useless. It did nothing. It added nothing to this.
True.
It didn't. There's script. We were saying that now with the mystery deflated, there's just so little to care about. They should have at least drawn the mystery out for like an episode.
They didn't even try.
Not even half an episode. Come on.
They really didn't. They kind of nailed it right out. It's like she's killing them for revenge because they left her to die, even though it's from a fire that she started. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, it's very much a crazy woman's perspective on things. So, I mean, you'll give it props for authenticity there. But, I mean, I think it's also kind of strange. It's like, oh man, these twins who have been separated for 16 years, they still hold on to the same hairstyle. Sure, one has shorter hair than the other, but they still do the dreadlock braids type of thing all the way through. No other sense of individuality or changing it up. Just it's just kind of weird. I think there'd have been more physical distinctions.
It suits the story.
Well, it's just
the story that they're trying to tell. Anyway.
Convenience.
Yeah, very convenient. Too convenient.
It's something, that whole speech they gave about like always won something too and all that crap. I was like,
oh god,
again stretched that out and not like they should have just had that at the end of the first episode where you go, oh, they're twins, but still made you think like, well, maybe not. Am I wrong? Like, and then do it. I don't care. Like, look, folks, this is a show with boring characters, a plot that's already revealed, and the ending mystery is what? This mystery Sith is going to be the reveal. It's Darth. Blah. Who cares? You already
it's the mother. She survived the fire. She's been horribly burned. She's in a costume that alters her voice, and she's training her daughter to get revenge. That's what it's going to be.
Even though her daughter was the one that started the fire.
Yeah, but you know, Sith. That's the Sith circumstances or Sith circumstances. I don't know.
Sith happens.
Well, according to the rumor on Twitter, on the rumor mill, the third episode of The Acolyte reveals that the twins were conceived without a father through the Force. So
via midichlorians. Thank you, George Lucas.
I guess Anakin is no longer an immaculate conception.
I was about to say, so something that was initially unique to what Darth Plagueis did, that's fine. We'll just throw that out.
Well, whoever I know that the sisters taught Darth Plagueis how to do this. That's how it's going to be. Because again, Darth Plagueis, it's not immaculate. Darth Plagueis created the, Anakin outside of the Republic's reach, so he could train him into his own thing himself. But then Palpatine killed him, and then spiraling that out of control. But no, this is what happens when you a warning that I made almost 2 decades ago, plus decades ago. That when you inject midichlorians into the Jedi and that they can create life, you now open up a whole slew of possibilities that terrible writers will do, such as, hey, we're going to grab someone that's got a lot of midichlorians, we're going to harvest them and culture them, and then we're just going to forcibly inject them into people to create them all into artificial Jedi of incredible power to wield this Force, because we now have a metric. The more midichlorians you have, the more powerful you are with the Force. So we can now artificially enhance Jedi or people without Force powers to be Jedi because of midichlorians. Guess what? It's gonna happen. Doesn't matter what they say. You can even argue in the EU, oh, they can't do it in the EU. It's like, well, they cloned Luke in one of the best trilogies of the EU ever. And guess what? If you can clone midichlorians, yeah, you can artificially make Jedi. Sorry, it's in your own canon, EU fans. You've been horribly. You've gone through the worst atrocities of any fandom ever, because your EU books have not only opened up awesome stories and great ideas, but they've also been used against you. That you've been perverted by having them taken away and called legends, and then now you've had those very legends being reinterpreted and bastardized in Disney Star Wars. You guys have been kicked harder than anyone else in the Star Wars fandom.
It's been a rough go, man. It's been a rough go.
Well, it's it really is to the point where this franchise is just DOA, man. Like anybody that out there, it's like, you got to be positive. You got to go into these things blindly, willing to accept whatever they put on screen. Even when you try, you get disappointed.
Yeah,
And there has never been anything to shit the bed this early. I can't believe it's this bad this early. We haven't even talked about the second episode with the poison, the dumbest, the fucking dumbest moment.
And the teenager Jedi with the terrible glue-on beard. Like that was, he was a creepy looking
and the
dude.
fake hairline.
Yeah, that fake hair. Like, I looked up what the actual actor looks like,
Share
and
the screen if you won't mind.
He's got a bit of a big forehead, but like aside from that, hold on, let me see if I can get a good.
Like, is he like? Are they trying to make a statement with this character because he looks like a cosplayer as a Jedi? Like he looks like
he looks like he's
cosplay
partly
Jedi.
inbred and might go after your children because he's got these weird. Like they literally do make him up to look kind of physically awkward and weird. He's got a scar on his face. They put a contact lens in with the thing of the eye. He's got a fake bald spot on the top of his head. He looks tiny compared to the actor opposite him that gave him the poison. Like he looks like a creepy dude. Like he looks like Hammond from Green Lantern.
Yep. Oh wow. Yeah, Hector Hammond.
Hammond, yeah.
That's rough.
That was a moment where I couldn't keep my displeasure inside. I was like, what? Like, folks, let's briefly finish up what happened in the first episode and kind of tie it into the second one because the conversation's great. Andrew, anything we missed on the first episode that was stupid that we haven't talked about? Like, she has her little dream. It's revealed that they're twins. Then, like, she teams up with the Jedi to go find her, or is that in the second episode?
That starts at the end of the first, I thought. That might be what I'm remembering. Yeah.
The quality is so bad they kind of bleed together, but
it is so bad. It's bafflingly bad, actually. I'm almost impressed, to be honest. That's how bad it is. Okay, here's the actor that was Jedi Master, mind you, Jedi Master Tobin was
of the Tobin Spirit Guides, you know.
It's what I was thinking. What is with the damn useless names? You got Osha, you got Tobin, you got
York.
Yord, yeah.
Yord. They gave this guy a fake bald spot.
Yeah, they gave him like one of those hairlines where it goes back to here, where you just got like the strip barely hanging on down the center. But his face still looks like he's in his 20s. And so it's like, dude, you didn't even try.
He looks like a 19-year-old.
Why didn't they just get an old man who was bald? Like, what is the point of that? I know that's a nitpick. I'll take it away. But I'm just like, come on now. This gets dumber every time you try to analyze it a little deeper. You're just like, whatever.
I can't with this. I can't with this show.
Let's see. Xavier to God says, to be fair, Dragon Ball, when characters make dumb mistakes, it leads to the best outcomes and things help them to get to the next saga. I meant like, I was talking like reverse evolving like Boo, because I watched that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not proud, but I did watch it.
No, Dragon Ball Z has better writing than this show, by far.
Yeah. I will say there were a couple Dragon Ball Z moments that I went, this is really stupid. Like Goku's like, oh yeah, I'm going to die. Sorry, it's a raw deal for you and your mom, but I gotta go. Bye. Like, what the fuck? Like, 2 more seconds you could have stayed, and never mind. Anyway,
I will say this though: Dragon Ball does have the most filler of any bad television series ever. So, just it does.
That's why I'm watching DBZ Kai, so I don't have to watch any of the filler.
There are animes with more filler than Dragon Ball.
Yeah, no, I'm just comparing it to like the live action terrible stuff that we get. Is you can definitely bring up Dragon Ball as being better written, but it does have a lot more filler than.
Well, sure, it's also got almost 300 episodes.
Yeah, well, I mean 125 really episodes.
It's got 290 something.
Oh no, but we say it's only 125 of her story.
Just a hyperbolic joke there.
I understand.
Hyperbolic time chamber joke.
Yep.
TLJ Screwjob says, was the shirtless guy the Anakin blew up the Death Star guy?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
it was the actor that said twice that Anakin blew up the Death Star. I don't. Why would you say that twice? Like, there's no way you don't see online. This guy said that Anakin blew up the Death Star. I'd be like, oh,
It's the wrong Skywalker.
in the all literally all you have to do there is be like, you know what? In the heat of the moment, my mouth moved faster than my brain, and look, anybody could buy that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That happens to everyone. Where you're in a high pressure situation, you're talking, and you say something without thinking about it, and it's incorrect, and you don't even think about it, right? That happens. That is to be human. However, he did it twice.
He wasn't corrected, so he had no check in his to refer to. The other part too is would he justify it in two ways? Number one, as Vader, he helped blow up the Death Star because he didn't kill Luke, or because he sired Luke, he also, by transitive property, blew up the Death Star. Those are both terrible excuses that someone would use.
I was about to say that is horrible semantic usage.
Exactly, because it's not really the same. But the fact of the matter is that his two co-stars, who clearly one of them knew he misspoke, did not correct him. And that could have been a good, charming moment where you can actually say, oh my gosh, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm so excited to be talking about the Acolyte, my involvement in it. I got the two Skywalkers, my two favorite Skywalkers, mixed up.
Right. That's the easiest fix in the world, right? If I'm that co-star and I'm on that panel in that interview, all I do is, you mean Luke, right? And then if you have any level of humility about you, if you're that guy that misspoke, you absolutely, a brain not catching up with my mouth. And then you just continue. That's it. And then nobody thinks anything of it.
I think problems like this would be solved if they would stop trying to sell us that these actors and the people that work on these shows are fans
and we know that they're not.
No one gives a shit if you're a fan of something. If Benedict, okay, I know people have opinions on it, but whatever. Benedict Cumberbatch is a good actor. If he rolled up in a Star Wars movie and he's like, I didn't really grow up watching Star Wars, I've seen them, they're fine. That's it. I don't give a shit. You don't need to know what color Luke's lightsaber is. You don't need to know how to differentiate Han and Luke and Stormtrooper besides their height. You don't need to know all this stupid shit. But we're being sold that from Lucas. So that's how we're really, we're getting fans to make Star Wars. Well, the fans shouldn't make this shit if that's what you're making. No, they're not fans. They're just actors. And get actors who can act. Don't get these weirdos. I don't care that your show's representative of whatever. I don't care. You're making crap. That's what this is.
Make a Star Wars show with a female lead. Make a Star Wars show it's primarily we got black characters, we've got Asian characters, we've got this, that, and the other thing. I don't give a shit. But get people that can act. Get people that can act and write good characters. It's a galaxy far, far away. I don't care. I don't care what the characters look like. Just write them well. It's Star Wars.
Hey, now, Andrew, we're told that we're going to complain no matter what. No, this is like next level stupid. Like,
no, that's not.
Dislike the message. Go watch the show yourself. And if you honestly enjoy it, awesome. More power to you. I'm not going to talk trash to a stranger. But I don't think you will. And if you're telling yourself you like it, I think you might be lying to yourself to spite me. And I
take exception. I take exception to this accusation because I'm actually the guy that usually pushes back on people when they're being hyperbolic as shit about the things that are going on in entertainment, even if I'm not happy about it. So actually, kiss my entire white ass.
No. Look, all joking aside, it really is that bad. Like,
it's horrible.
When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to dread it, but I'm going to write this, and we're going to have a long-form discussion. We are going to talk about the Acolyte each and every week for your enjoyment. So, folks, every Wednesday, make sure you join WCBS for a new video midday. Check between the hours of 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to try to get it out a little earlier if I can, but can't really rush things, especially with the first video needing to be about 2 episodes because they give you a 1-2 punch. If this show would have landed with just 1 episode, it would have still been crap.
1-2 punch in the nuts.
Yeah, it's a kick. It's a kick in the balls. It sucks. It's not fun. Before we start talking about that second episode, let's first off thank our friend Pilgrim Media who says, Jeff, I like your unwanted toy episodes. Pilgrim Media, thank you very much. I'll be making a new one very, very soon. Be on the lookout for that, folks. And I'm going to be expanding that series. So since I got a lot of people here, folks, make sure you check out all of our videos and turn your notifications on. If your notifications aren't on, you're not going to be finding our videos. We heard it directly from YouTube. So check everything out. That's the best way to get updated on WCBS, like how we're going to Japan in 2025 for Star Wars Celebration. A lot of you don't know about that, so be on the lookout for that. And as well, and check out Wokebusters. It's live on Kickstarter right now for a limited time. Now that we got everybody's ear, let's go right back to the show with the Acolyte. So, Xavier to God, though, before we get there, he says, Jeff, Goku staying dead was more, so no more threats would happen on Earth. Also, him staying dead for 7 years was good because he learned Super Saiyan 3 J in Fusion.
Yeah, but that's not why he stayed dead.
No. He sacrificed himself, but if he would have waited just a few moments, Gohan would have still been able to beat Cell. And look, I'm not here to argue that. All I'll say is, like, Super Saiyan 3 is kind of the biggest honey dick in history because you get sold that it's going to be this big, powerful thing, and he can't really hold it for long, and then he fights Majin Buu for a few moments with it. And it looks cool-ish, but I'm just saying, like, why would you write a new child for Goku and all of these things without him being there? And then the kid's just going to go like, Dad, you're home. And like all of this crap, like these characters are very forgiving on an emotional level. Like they forgive each other right in the middle of shit. They like, and it's great. I guess it goes to show you that you need to look over or overlook your differences. So you, in like times of stress, so you can achieve a big goal. I guess that's the theme of Dragon Ball, if you really break it down. But I'm like, you know, this guy just killed somebody and you're like ready to team up with him. You don't even like comment on like, yeah, that's pretty dicky, or, oh man, can I trust him? No, it's just like, oh, let's fight. Let's fuse. Let's do this. It's like Goku doesn't even humor the fact that fusing with Vegeta forever could suck. Like he just is like, oh, we do it. We don't even think about it. It is what it is. I like Dragon Ball Z. I don't regret watching it, but I'm you know, when you watch a kid show as an adult, you go, oh, wait. So that's it. I'm talking about it humorously. It's still entertaining and it's still a piece of art. Mary Mayhem, what is up? That's a name I love to see. Who's that handsome, dapper man in the jacket and glasses? Who is he? It's Script Doctor.
He's not wearing this jacket tonight.
No, it's at the cleaners.
Filthy pleb.
Adam Wofford, thank you very much. He says Irish coffee is Irish whiskey. Oh, I could go for that.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna need it.
Well, I do have some Bailey's Irish cream flavored coffee. It's been my go-to source of energy for all the new WCBS content for the last 2 weeks, folks. So I gotta get a sponsorship deal from them. The Healthy Man says Star Wars stinks. Well, yes,
certainly does now.
The stinkiest part of the body, the Acolyte, is that beehole. This show is bad. So let's start going into the second episode because they continue. Yes, we have to talk about May's journey to get revenge on the Jedi. We see her find Master Torben, this Jedi who's been in seclusion for 10 years. He meditates, he floats with the Force, he's got the big head and the fucking hairline and the weird
his meditation is so strong that like May can't like penetrate past like within like 2 feet of him, right? Like he's got this force barrier that she can't penetrate.
And then she penetrates it by guilting him.
Yes.
Like, folks.
She white guilts him.
Yes. She tries everything. She uses all the weapons, all the force moves she knows. You name it. You know what you did to me. Then he drinks the poison willingly and kills himself as an apology because he let her die on a fire that she didn't die in, and she set herself. Like, this is real. This is how it goes.
This happened.
Who watched it with me.
Oh, remember, this is inspired by the relationship between Leslie Headland and her sister.
Wow, that's
dark, right?
I feel like there's some sessions you need to go start taking, Leslie. And maybe not insert that into your writing. That would probably be helpful.
Also ironic, Kathleen Kennedy is also a twin. I have a
Is she
theory that
really? Wait, there's
yes.
2 of her?
No, I have a theory that it's not actually Kathleen Kennedy, head of Disney Lucasfilm. It's her twin, and Kathleen Kennedy has just decided to like go pull a Prestige and go on vacation
That's a theory.
because they
I
actually
wish.
also dress and have the same hairstyle. Like at their age of pushing 70, they have not changed their appearance to distinguish themselves at all.
This is literally the first time I'm hearing about this.
Oh, really? You had no idea?
look her up,
No,
man.
yeah,
I had no idea.
she's a twin.
That's wild. That terrifies me though, that there's 2 of her.
Always
Well,
more.
clearly,
Go ahead.
one's an evil one. So
Who has
This
the
might be an
goatee?
instance where they're both bad.
Is inept as much as, or is inept as big of a problem as evil?
If you are put into a position of power, yes.
Fair.
well,
If you're put into a position of
the
power, then
ineptitude-
ineptitude can be just as destructive.
ineptitude can be just as destructive, but it's also got a better risk of being productive, where evil is always destructive.
From a certain point of view.
I just want to say only a master of evil doth, but that's the wrong Star Wars. That was when Star Wars was good.
Yeah,
So-
you remember Star Wars?
I remember. It's like in that movie, The Book of Eli, when they're like, yeah, it's the one with Denzel Washington. Like, talk about remembering
Yeah.
stuff, or any post-apocalyptic film. You know, you're in the barren wasteland. Talk about the good old days. That's what Star Wars fandom is. It's Mad Max world. We're all walking around. There are parts of ships. You know, oh, there's the EU buried in the sand over there. Hey, there's a burned out corpse. That's Luke Skywalker. You just keep going past each thing as it's devolved. And
Right.
now we stand around talking. Hey, remember when this thing we liked wasn't shitty?
I
ask
do remember
myself
that.
this.
I have a lot of
Every-
books and video games that remind me of when it wasn't shitty.
And dude, I ask myself this every time I make a video about something. Is it just me, or is it actually that bad? And I think about it. And sometimes it's, you know, maybe it's me. And you may not know that there's a video of something because I went, maybe it's not that bad. Or, oh, maybe this is a case where it is always that bad. This being the worst that we've seen. You will never get frustrated. I'm sorry, what was that?
Is it really worse than Ahsoka? Because that's hard to gauge right
So
now.
far, I would say it is already worse than Ahsoka. Right now, it's making Book of Boba Fett look like a freaking masterpiece.
Yeah. And I'm getting a lot of Book of Boba Fett vibes too with the set they use on that one planet where they fight.
Yeah.
That like they all use like the same street sets. Like all these Disney Star Wars shows look the same. I know it's a weird criticism, but they always go back to that weird random city street that
Mhm.
they have built somewhere.
Oh yeah, the one for Andor. Like that main street strip is totally from Andor, redressed. And I don't begrudge them for doing that. You want to amortize your set construction across multiple shows so you can save some money. But
Mhm.
at the same time, it's like, why is it in Star Wars, at least after we've gotten out of the original saga, all the worlds look like they're third world countries? There's not much going on. The structures are kind of antiquated. The technology is advanced, but at the same time, everybody's living in squalors and are filthy. It's like they completely missed the point of the diversity of locations that Star Wars has. There should be a number of planets that are very much Earth-like, with a little bit of Star Wars technology injected into them, and not all looking like sections of Haiti.
I agree with that. It adds the homogenous look to these shows that makes me not interested in the visual. It's all like kind of, I can't call this one gray like Andor, but they all do have like a similar look, and you're just like, all right, it's a Star Wars show. It's not really impressive anymore. It doesn't have these. This one had some better vistas and a couple things like that, but I mean, overall, man, to answer your question earlier, at least with Ahsoka, you were wondering certain things. You kind of know it. Like,
I feel like I know everything that I need to know about this show, other than like, all right, so who's the big bad? Who's the like wannabe Sith guy? And other than that, like, I just don't care.
Yeah, but the other part too is that there's a very strained logic to the Acolyte that did not exist in Ahsoka, which is that how is there a map that was buried anciently, like hundreds of years ago, point to the direction or location of Thrawn? Like that's a huge logic error that just is completely convoluted and BS. Whereas,
I mean,
in
less
this one,
so
you're
a
like,
logic
oh, we
error.
have
It's just
simple
like a
revenge
Deus Ex
story.
Machina.
well, which is also terrible. You don't ever want to do that. But here we have, it's a revenge story. Twin sisters. One is killing the others that betrayed her. Okay, I get that. There's no real logical fallacy to that. The method with which they use to kill the Jedi is absurd. But it's like, I get this. This is a revenge story. Simple plot, easy. Except now we're just getting tons of exposition. So it's poor dialogue, mediocre plot, better, I would say better than Ahsoka, because at least we know that there's a bad guy and that the bad guy is doing something, where Ahsoka is a big waiting game and supposed treasure hunt of things that don't align with continuity at all, like even within its own rules. So it's like, I think the Acolyte is going to be terrible and definitely going to be on the bottom of the barrel with all the other Star Wars shows of its ilk, because that's the level of quality. But at this point too, I'm like thinking, it's not exactly, Ahsoka was a lot harder to get through than this was. And even though I do know the whole, how they've changed the Force for episode 3, because I saw the film threat stuff, and then I had a couple other friends that have seen episode 3 and 4 and confirmed it to me. I still think, well, that is terrible. It can't kill something that's already dead, so to speak. It's like, it's really bad, but it's like, yeah, it figures they'd go that way.
I can't wait. That's all I got in terms of
It's at the point where I'm more anticipating how bad the next episode is going to be than I am as far as caring what's actually going to happen.
You know, it's really
for
going
the
to
sake of caring about the show.
The result of this show is going to be the new rule that the Jedi imposed, which is that we will never train someone of a certain age, because obviously they said that they found these girls when they were children, and then they tried to train them as a Jedi, and they'd be like, no, once there's an age threshold where you're too old to learn to be a Jedi. And this story is going to impose that new rule on the Jedi Order from now on. That's my suspected theory, which is also terrible, because the whole age limit
like
thing
that
is stupid too.
That's stupid because that was already in place.
Hey, folks, by the way, we have almost 500 people watching. Hit that thumbs up button. Let YouTube know that you enjoy this content, and join us next week at the same time. And we'll also be live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sure Dion will have a lot to say about the Acolyte as well. Look, folks, we're not going to be an Acolyte-only channel. We got other videos coming out. But this show is going to be very, very memorable, and you want WCVS to be with you on that whole journey. So join us each and every day. We'll be back with something different to entertain you guys every day. So I really will stand by my statement. It is the worst, just on the poison scene. I cannot forgive that.
Pretty bad.
So bad.
Because when I was watching it, I went, hold on a second. Because I took a nap to get prepared to stay up to do this, because I knew we'd go a little different. And so I got up, I had something to drink. I was prepared. I was locked in. I was like, did I miss the reason why this girl's pissed off? And then you're like, oh, she's pissed because she was left in a fire to die, and it was a fire she started. I went, then this guy has no guilt. This is stupid. Are they trying to add more of a mystery on top of what we've been told? Because I don't care. The Jedi secretly set the fire. Like, what? You know what I'm trying to get at? Like, there's no depth you can add to this character's motivation that gets me back on board. It's like, you want revenge because the Sith guy is lying to you. Okay. Awesome. But why did the Jedi then play into it and then give up? Like, why? Why did this guy drink the poison willingly and let himself be killed out of guilt? Like, is that a message to Leslie Headland's old boss, as they would try to postulate? Like, it's stupid. This is like that level of dumb. You're like, where does this go? Nowhere.
Nowhere interesting. That's for sure. There's been, like I said, there's been nothing redeeming about this show on really any level. The script is bad. The performances from virtually all of the actors are bad.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like the director, Leslie Headland. And okay, so maybe I should have assumed this. It's like she told everybody, here's your motivation. Be as close to a plank of wood as humanly possible. And that's how you deliver every single one of your lines. Because that's what they're doing. And so if they took that direction, if they took that direction, yeah, seriously, if they took that direction seriously, then maybe, okay, so I guess you're doing what the director told you to do. But that's horrible. That's not acting. People don't talk like that. most people anyway, talk with a bit of a cadence to their voice. There are different inflections that they give and different weights to certain words. And they're so boring. They sound like I said, they sound like freaking Windows 2000 text to speach. All
Hello,
of them.
I am a Jedi. Please press enter to use the Force.
And the lines, I can't get over how bad the script is. Like, you just pick the most generic possible boring lines you could possibly say, and half of them don't even like fit in with the scene. What was it? The scene, the one character that I do kind of like so far, which is Jedi Master Soul, the Asian guy, when he's like in the room at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, and he's teaching the younglings, right? And he's having them like recite things back to him, and like, oh, concentrate on the Force. You know, what do you see? What do you feel? And they just start spitting out basically word salad,
I see
buzzwords,
fire.
right? Or, you know, I see light. I see balance. Oh my gosh!
How
Stop
do you
it!
witness balance? Just one person, a guy standing on one foot and just holding perfectly still. Is that how you see balance?
Tell you what's not balanced. Anything about the show.
The people who made this show.
Because if there
They're
was
not
some
balanced.
balance in the show, there'd be something redeemable about it.
Do you think the budget will balance and the show be profitable?
It's not
No.
possible. The format that Disney Plus and most other streaming services use does not allow for
Correct.
profit to come from revenue in that regard. And the fact that even if they are integrating ads on it, you're not going to get the viewers needed to pay for that show. It's just not going to happen.
The fact of the matter is, I'm willing to bet, and this is me just speculating because I don't actually have data in front of me that supports this, but this is me speaking mostly from just my own experience. I would rather pay a few extra dollars a month, which is I'm sure what they're banking on, than like pay a little bit less and have ads on something that's not cable TV. So like you're not going to be getting that ad revenue either. So like, sure, you're making a couple extra bucks here and there, but like that ad revenue, that's not going to balance out the fact that you're just huffing your own farts. That's what these shows are. Not to mention that's what the writers are doing figuratively.
And if I may for a second, folks, if the Acolyte were to pull an ad like this, I'm pretty sure every Star Wars fan in the community would forgive them.
Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
That's a real commercial. Look it up, folks. We got
See,
more.
I would forgive them for that.
Seriously, if that Padawan, if the Jedi, instead of going down and drinking that poison, picked up a Cervezas crystal and drank it and then died, I'd be like,
no,
perfect.
This is what you have
I'm
to do,
done.
Jeff. This is what you have to do. You got to clip that and add the music when he's taking the poison.
Oh, dude. What is that?
And you got to turn that into a clip.
You just drank Dr. Jones.
Turn that into a clip.
I will. I'll make a button of it. I need to get Nick to download me the episodes. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't understand, because I see that people in the chat ask me, are they going to make toys? I got to look into that. I can't say they're not making toys, because they've made toys for all the other series so far. It's Star Wars.
I'm sure they'll make a few toys. Will they sell a few toys? Probably.
Well, what they'll probably do is see toys. They never ever announce how many figures sell. So, for example, I got a Stone Cold Steve Austin right here. They don't say, "Oh, that Stone Cold Steve Austin sold 400,000 units." You just don't have access to those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You can guess.
They don't want to give you access to those numbers.
No. But my point is, we also don't know how many are going to be made. So, for example, for every Mandalorian figure, just one of him. Or let's say for a case of him, they'll make one Acolyte figure, and it'll just be that's the scale. So the Acolyte will look like you can get it online. They'll make it available at online retailers, so anybody that's out there saying, "Oh, I can find it. These are popular," and of course they'll pop up at your GameStops and a couple of other places. But folks, they're not going to produce many because Disney got burned with the Eternals. Disney got burned with other. Okay,
Black
so for
Panther.
example, Black Panther, because I was going to say, people want to say that the Eternals were ruined by the pandemic. Yeah, not really. Those toys weren't going to sell even if the world didn't fall to shit. We still had a brand in our heads. Even though we acted like we didn't, we weren't going to ever like the Eternals. And then you get something like Black Panther, and that movie isn't made in the response to any of this stuff. And those toys still did not sell. And so the Acolyte merchandise isn't going to be massively produced. You're not going to be going into Target and seeing Acolyte displays with 50 of Lee and this and that and all these different characters, because they're not going to ever produce that many. No one's going to.
I'll tell you what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the day where the clearance houses, like Ollie's and things like that, where they're not even interested in having them offloaded onto them, where they're like, you know what? Nope, it's not worth it. Where they turn them away and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to buy Target and Walmart's overstock of their garbage that's not selling, because it's not going to sell at ours either.
No, I do feel bad for the Star Wars collector. And hear me out, folks, because I know people are like, oh, why would I ever collect Star Wars? Screw it. They have actually improved the toys, like the classic characters. So they'll make like new Stormtroopers or new Lukes or new Hans. And they're really good, like 3 3/4 inch figures. So I feel bad for those guys that are collecting them and they're going like, wow, they're actually upping their game across, the little scale, because they have to supplement those good toys with all of this new crap, and that doesn't sell. And so what happens is stores just don't buy Star Wars, and that includes the stuff that the small remnant of the fan base want. So it just sucks for them too. No one wins from the Acolyte. No one wins from Ahsoka. No one wins from the Book of Boba Fett. These are things that get people to talk. They don't subscribe, and then all they do is dilute the brand. Less and less people come back to watch these shows, but more and more people come back to watch these shows because they go, I don't have time for this. I'll let these guys suffer, and I'll see what's...
You make it sound malevolent when you put it that way.
Look, I've learned that the secret to success on the internet is just accepting a little bit of self-torture, and your life will just be a lot easier. There you go.
All right.
So, after this Jedi drinks the poison, what happens, Andrew? Because I kind of checked out mentally because I was pissed.
So, what they do is they go, because what was it? Stupid name. OSHA hands the empty vial to her former master, to Soul, and she says, "Well, this, the herbs or whatever that were used to create this came from the specific plant that was native to my world, my home world, where my twin and I were from." I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna have to track down an apothecary, right, and figure out, all right, so the only way that we're gonna find the person that put together this poison, concocted this, is we need to find a local place that would have that, because otherwise there's no way it was transported, all that way. So they tracked down the apothecary where we had seen May earlier, as well as whatever the Ezra Miller looking dude.
Yeah, he does look like Ezra Miller.
Okay, so I'm not the only one. Good.
Well, Ezra Miller also looks Asian too, so I mean, it's messed up.
He reminded me. He reminded me way too much of Ezra Miller. Though I will say, okay, so I did make mention earlier that the performances of all of the characters was horrible. The actor that plays that character, I can't remember his name, but the dude, these like either an informant or an accomplice or whatever to May, his performance is actually okay. Like
Manny Jacinto.
Yeah. He's
him from The Good Place, so I like him.
Well, he's selling his performance well enough to where I'm like, okay, so like you're at least a half decent actor. Like you're doing okay. You don't sound like a plank of wood talking. Like I'm not listening to a 2x4 right now. A 2x4 that's been soaking wet for 8 days. They go find him, and they're like, oh, one of the Jedi that they bring from that local temple on, what the hell's the name of the planet? Olega or something like that. Stupid name. All the names are stupid now. What they do is they find him, and one of the Jedi that they brought with them from that temple was like, yeah, but that's not the usual guy that works here, right? They're like, oh, well, that's sus. And so like, okay, so how are we going to do this, right? And Jedi Bro, as I've been calling him, or not Yondu, what the hell is his name?
Yord or whatever.
Yord, that's the one. Yeah, Yord. He's like, well, I'm going to go confront him. And you know, the Jedi Master, everybody, like I said, everybody's incompetent in the show because the Jedi Master can't figure this out. The Jedi Knight can't figure this out. What
You had the fat
ends up-
Padawan there.
Yeah, what ends up happening is
that guy?
the little Padawan girl, right? She says, well, since they're twins, how about we just send her in and he'll think she's her, right? It's like, oh, yeah, if anybody else with a brain that was an adult in the room and thought about that for more than a nanosecond, they would have figured that out too in the real world, but not in this show.
No. Well, characters just, when your plot is dumb, your characters have to be dumb enough where that plot makes sense.
Mhm.
That's what I'm feeling this show is, man.
It's
so
rough. It's rough,
It
man.
is rough. And like you get another fight in this episode. You get the Soul versus Bad Girl fight.
And at least he kind of schools her, right?
Here's the thing. Like, I like him. I like his fighting
He's
style.
the only
I think
character I do like.
Yeah, his performance is good. I'm on board with that character. Like, he's cool. So, folks, when I make my video tomorrow, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes saying how good he is. I'm just going to tell you I like the character. What I mean, though, is I don't mind anything he has done so far. If I'm watching it invested in a character, it's because the actor from Squid Game is pretty cool. Like, that's about it. Yeah. So, they have a fight. It is what it is. She escapes, and then she runs into her sister, and then the good sister, Osha, yes, from the government name,
From the government.
she tries to attack May, the other dark evil sister, and she rides away on a speeder or whatever. And what happens next, Andrew?
Oh gosh. What happens next, basically a minute or two after that, is we get the best scene, massive cliffhanger for this episode, man. Where we see the Wookie Jedi, man.
Yeah.
We see the Wookie Jedi that was built up kind of, sort of, because May was talking with what's his face, not Ezra Miller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Ezra. He said you'd go to the planet because this is where we found a guy.
Right, I'm calling him not Ezra Miller because he's not
Yeah.
literally Ezra Miller, but yeah, you get the picture.
He's Ezra enough.
Yeah. I mean, as long as he hasn't like body slammed, suplexed pregnant women, that's fine. So we go to the planet. What the hell's everything is dumb. We go, yeah, that one. We go there. It's not Kashyyyk, so I don't care. So we go there and we see him come, out of the trees, out of the ferns and all that crap. We're like, oh, it looks like a big Wookiee or really kind of like half-assed Wookiee costume. And we're like, okay, so what's he gonna do? Because we've still got like 10 minutes left in the episode. And what happens? Nope. Just walks towards the camera. Camera switches. He walks into a door.
Directed by Leslie Headland.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a real enticing way to want you to continue to watch. So all the people in the future that are going to wait to binge this show, you'll get to episode 2 and be like, I think I'm going to go get a drink or go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And you'll probably forget to go back and watch the 3rd episode because it's so underwhelming. Like, it's comically underwhelming, to be honest. It's almost like they're intentionally trying to make you talk about it by, oh man, we got to end it in a poor way. All right,
well, the thing is, I don't usually view you as somebody who would deliberately yank my chain, but when you told me it just ends with no reason whatsoever, I was like, is he like leading me on here? Is there like just something that's like extra dumb that happens right at the end? And yes and no, but it was extra dumb because nothing happened rather than an extra dumb thing of significance that happened, if that makes any sense. Right?
They're trying to end on the fact that, hey, you never seen a Wookie Jedi before. Here's a Wookie Jedi. Don't you?
Unless you've read the EU.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's it's now you get to see it. It's no longer just words on a page. It's a visual.
That's the comics too.
Not a moving visual. Again, you have to go through how these crazy studios, execs and writers over at Disney think. It's like, okay, well, we have it in text in the book. We got a comic of it there. We probably even have a cartoon of it somewhere. But you know what? It's the first live action.
Well, that's actually a really good point. And that's been Disney, and that's really current media in general. and the people in charge, they want to present themselves as though they're the first to do a thing, right?
Make your mark.
And they're the furthest possible thing from that, because right now it feels like they're trying to present themselves as the first to put like a female dark side user at the forefront. In an important part of the story, even though nothing is important in this story so far. If you could even call it a story, it's slapdash at best.
There's no stakes.
But sure, okay, maybe live action, I guess. But like before that, we've had phenomenal female characters, light side and dark, for decades in Star Wars. This is not new. They're trying to act like they're reinventing the wheel. They're trying to act and present themselves to their audience because they think we're all retarded, as though they're the Leslie Headland thinks she's the first one to do this. She's breaking new ground. She's busting through that glass ceiling, right? No, you're actually doing a terrible job of representing like female Star Wars fans.
No, you're.
I know many female Star Wars fans.
You're doing a job that justifies the existence of the glass ceiling.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
It's like you are why the glass ceiling exists, actually, because you're bad and you should feel bad.
Oh my god, dude! Like you said earlier, I'm sorry. Whoever said it, I apologize if I misattributed it. But whoever said the one about the girls in the playground trying to make it what a guy would want. That's what this really felt like. It was like, kids today like anime, so we're gonna set it in, mildly Asian whatever. Because like they went to a noodle house. This wasn't just a couple of diverse characters. It's like they literally go to a Star Wars noodle house, and on like a water wheel type of thing. There's just like noodles that go around, and you're just like, okay, that's fine. They just have a noodle house in Star Wars, cool. But it's like it's trying to appeal to that audience in that generation, and you're trying to expand Star Wars in that way. And you'd think that sounds cool on paper, but like everything else is just like as generic as that too. You're like, oh, they have fight scenes like The Matrix because kids like The Matrix.
Well, remember what I said earlier? Like, hey, do you remember The Matrix? Because that's literally what that bar fight was.
24 years ago.
Dude, 25. The Matrix is 99, man.
All right. Jeez.
I feel old.
We are. But the entertainment was unique
Thanks.
back then. We've been recycling the same shit forever. And now, like, I'll give it to George Lucas. He couldn't have copied The Matrix for episode 1. So that's nothing like that.
Sure.
Episode 2, I'm sure there's more influence with the way the Jedi move, and with 3 as well. But he never like blatantly copied The Matrix where I felt like I was watching The Matrix with Star Wars. That's what I felt when I was
didn't
watching.
have bullet time in Star Wars, at least.
Yeah, I feel like we're like essentially a week away. We have Force Fu, and
Force Fu.
And you're like, oh man, it's gonna be cool and shit. No, it's really not. It's weird. It creates like a weird dissonance that I don't know how I feel about it, because it almost makes me wonder why they didn't. If you think of it like if this is all supposed to be a real timeline of stories, why wouldn't the Jedi still be trained in this level of martial arts to be effective? Because Luke Skywalker was not very effective in combat, even as a Jedi. I know he went in willingly to go to Jabba the Hutt's palace, but I'm talking like when he's on the barge, when he had his guard down for just a minute, he got shot in the hand and this and that. If he was a more competent fighter, I feel like he could have avoided that. And I'm just saying, like, that's cool that the Jedi can do all this shit, but you have to work backwards because it always has to make sense in the new stuff. So even if you don't have the original trilogy have that, well, the prequel should have had something like that, because why don't they do more stuff? They have a couple moves, but like Obi-Wan Kenobi's dropkick is lame as shit. Like, a pro wrestler would be embarrassed. So that's my complaint. It just doesn't really fit. You can't just throw anything in there, because eventually you're like, well, then why did they stop doing this? The story doesn't make sense anymore. Is this long form that you're trying to build out?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I just wish that they would look. been a Star Wars fan since I was like 8 years old. I love Star Wars. It makes me sad that the only way for me to still enjoy Star Wars is to consume stuff that I've already consumed. I wish that there was content worthwhile still being produced that I could consume. But apart from the Jedi Fallen Order games, there isn't. And those games aren't exactly coming out on a monthly basis or an annual basis. There's a few years in between them. So, okay, I get a little gem to play through every few years. That's the best I got. Star Wars as a property right now is in such a bad place because they keep putting out stuff like this or akin to this. And this is the most, I won't call it the most offensive. The most offensive was Kenobi. That show was offensive to me as a Star Wars fan. That hurt my soul because Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character from the films. He's one of my 3 favorite characters overall. And that series just did him dirty. Boba Fett was really, really bad. Mileage may vary when it came to Mandalorian. Started out good, dipped off pretty hard there with season 3. Ahsoka was abysmal. And then this show, here's the thing with this show. I was willing to be surprised. I'm always willing to be surprised. And I'd prefer to be surprised. I would actually rather have this show surprise the hell out of me. And I love it and have a good time watching it. I didn't think that's what was going to happen. But I'm able to kind of compartmentalize and separate out my thought process enough to where I can be like, okay, I don't think, so I'm not going to hold my breath, this show's going to be worthwhile. But I will leave enough space for the possibility that it's at least interesting and that I don't hate my life while watching it. That being said, that last bit's what's happening so far because it's just that bad. I don't know what to tell them other than that. It's just bad. Stop making bad content. I don't care that your show is helmed by a woman. I don't care that your lead is a woman. I really don't care.
Doesn't it do more damage?
Make her likable. For cripe's sake. I've been an EU fan for a while. I like Mara Jade. My favorite female characters in Star Wars are Darth Zana and Bastila Shan and Satil Shan, all these other fantastic characters. I have no problem with a main character being a female. Just, I don't know, try making her not garbage.
Well, we got to get over this trope of the modern day, make the characters unlikable because that's how they're going to show that they're strong and independent. And like, why can't you have an endearing character that you root for? Like, it can be a chick, but make her likable like Rocky. Make her, go like, oh man, I want to see her go the distance. I didn't like Rey. I didn't care about her story. She was kind of a smartass and annoying and didn't really struggle. It just was like, boom, boom, boom. She knew everything. I fixed the Falcon. I beat the bad guy. I saved the day.
I fixed the Falcon because I understand the Falcon better than the guy that's been freaking helming it for the last several decades.
L337 is a female droid. They speak the same language. That's it. There you go. There it is. Crossover.
Yep.
Ruby Waller Bridge.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Andrew, how's your wine?
Do I have a little bit left? I got a little bit left. Somehow.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's maybe that's only because I initially thought that they were dropping the first 3 episodes tonight for some reason instead of the first 2. Thank God it was only the first 2. I know why I thought it was the first 3 because was it Alan from Film Threat? That's his name, right? Alan?
Yep.
He had made a post or a comment and he was on somebody's stream talking about having seen the 3rd episode already. And I took that as like, oh, so he got a preview of the first 3. They're going to show the first 3 like when they drop them on Disney Plus. They're going to drop them. The first block will be 3, and then they'll release it 1 episode a week after that. I don't know. That's why my brain went there. That's what it did. Thank God in heaven that's not the case because I don't want to go through 2 bottles in one night.
Yeah, but now we have 1 extra week of Star Wars Acolyte. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, Alan and the Film Thread guys, they got the first 4 episodes, as did a lot of other news publications. So,
okay. I'm
yeah,
surprised they gave it to them.
Oh yeah, they're on the list.
Honestly shocked. Like, good on them. And my heart goes out to them. They binged all 3 in one hit. Gosh, I'm barely keeping alive over here, having watched the first 2 in one hit.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. And, you know, doing a review in the morning's going to be...
That was not fun for me.
I'm gonna have to pull out a lot to say.
I will say this: they have one idea that was okay, but wasted on this, and that is the little tool droid that could fix a whole bunch of stuff, but needed the user's interaction with. I'm like, that's an interesting gear porn type of thing for Star Wars, but did they have to give it like a droid's voice and make it an actual like sentient or semi-sentient thing? Like, couldn't it have just been a cool little tool that a mechanic uses that we never saw before? That would have been fun.
It's not something that I haven't ever seen before in sci-fi. I'm a big fan of the Mass Effect franchise as far as the video games, though actually the novels as well, and those are phenomenal, but they're also written by Drew Karpyshyn, and he's a phenomenal writer. So he also wrote some of the best Star Wars EU novels, including the Bane trilogy, for those of you who do not know. There's a thing, there used to be a thing anyway, called Omnigel that was used in Mass Effect that it was basically like the fix-all for anything that could be utilized to, you know, bypass things or fix things, repair stuff, whatever it is. So a droid doing that isn't all too dissimilar to me. Here's the thing.
I don't think that's what he's saying. He's just saying it would have been cool if it didn't talk like a little kid's toy.
Right, sure. But what he was saying was the concept itself was interesting, and I don't disagree with that. I would have been okay with it having some sort of sentience and interaction if
it does,
and only if it had someone interesting to interact with. That's the issue. So R2-D2 plays off the other characters around him, right? There's a personality thing there. Even though it's just a bunch of beeps and whirs and clicks, there's a fun personality interaction between R2 and C-3PO, or R2 and whoever else he's interacting with. It's the same thing in the Jedi Fallen Order games between Cal Kestis and BD-1, who is actually my favorite droid. There's an actual effort put into the personality there, but it requires there being some actual personality in both of the characters that the interaction is taking place between. And that's not happening in this because Osha is a boring as hell character, and I don't care about her. And so I don't care who she's interacting with. She's just dragging anyone down.
Well, Script, to bounce off what you were saying, though, I would like it too, because it would make it feel... I get that you want to like have it be prequel era, whatever, but maybe don't indulge in some of the prequel era's stupidity. And let's not act like everything that the prequel era had was perfect or great or even good. Like, there was a lot of dumb stuff. And like, hell, even George Lucas did it in the special edition when he had that stupid droid in Tatooine when they're flying through the Mos Eisley. It's got the beep, 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 and all that crap. Like, that just, I don't know, man. Star Wars was cool when it didn't have the like cutesy shit. You could argue like the original droids are cutesy, but they're kind of grimy and like get destroyed and shit, so they're not that cutesy to me. Like Chewbacca's not cutesy, he's violent. Yoda's not cutesy, he's old. Like, maybe the Ewoks are the first cutesy thing, but I don't like the cutesy shit. I never have, even as a kid. I'd like a little edge because Star Wars used to have an edge. That's what I thought was cool about it as a kid. Like, the people got shot, shit exploded. They were spaceships. It wasn't just about boring, pious Jedi and pseudo-religious whatever, hokey bullshit. Like, there used to be an element to Star Wars that wasn't only that. And now it's that, but it's under the guise of a lady's therapy session. Leslie Headland, you have made crappy Star Wars. Thanks. It's going to be fun to talk about.
Yeah, she's brought 320 viewers to the show. Well, thanks, Leslie.
No, we got 530 actually.
I'm talking about on just on
Twitter,
YouTube.
right?
I'm just talking on YouTube.
Here's the thing: we're world-class bullshitters, man. We broadcast
We're
around the
everywhere.
world, multiple platforms. Now we're at 5:31. So, folks, keep watching us. Like I said, we go live on Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out. We'll be back tomorrow with an Acolyte review. That'll be live every Wednesday. So make sure you check us out by turning your bell notifications on to all, because you will be able to find us that way quicker. We'll come directly to you. And stick around in a moment. We're going to be checking in with the audience. We have some more stuff to talk about with the Acolyte. But I need to step away and get some water. Andrew, you need to step away and get some wine. So this is going to give me a quick chance to show this to everybody while I go get a drink.
Roll. Dude, I actually downloaded that trailer when you sent it to me onto my phone, and I actually listen to that every day because that edit of the music
I can
is
send you
so
the link to it.
the edit for the music is so hype. Like, I love that kind of like 80s synth that is injected and like emphasized just a little bit more in it. It's so fun. I love it.
Well,
guys, back Woke Busters on Kickstarter tonight. Don't wait. Just do it. You won't
Folks,
regret it.
I wrote it. I drew it. It was a lot of fun to make. I know you'll like it. It makes fun of society, but you already watched the trailer. That's all we're going to talk about. It's time to get back to the show because you want to talk about the Acolyte and we want to talk about the Acolyte.
Do we?
Shrubbles08 says, I'll take the new Buffalo. Yeah, I know. Shrubbles08 says, I'll take a new
What's all
Buffalo
this
Jeff
free
button
stuff?
and a message. Both explain force witches and lesbians. Well, let's get your tab queued up right here. You want a new Buffalo Jeff, and new Buffalo Jeff requires old background. Let's give you a bonus question or button, folks.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
And here's your request.
Who's that Pokemon? It's
Me, your old pal Buffalo Jeff.
Mortifying.
I know, right? This one's oddly creepy too, to some people, but not me.
Message! Message! Message!
I mean, if a grown ass man popped his head up inside of a crib in my house, yeah, I would find that pretty creepy.
Oh, yeah. TLJ Screwjob says, we'll always have pre-2012 Star Wars, the only Star Wars. Folks, let's have a moment of silence for pre-2012 Star Wars. It was a better time. A simpler time.
I put an asterisk on that because I do love the Jedi Fallen Order games. But yeah,
It is before the Empire, that is for sure.
before the dark times.
My favorite Star Wars game was released in 2001, so I haven't had a great experience from the Star Wars universe in 23 years.
I'm a
Bring back Rogue
KOTOR.
Squadron.
Oh, Rogue Squadron. Oh man, I played the crap out of Rogue Squadron on my GameCube.
I don't want to be a Jedi or a Sith, man. Anything with the Force and lightsabers, I'm not buying as a video game.
That's
I
where
like
you
the
and I
original
differ.
X-Wing, and I liked all the X-Wing games. TIE Fighter was fine too, but I like the X-Wing stuff. The missions were pretty awesome.
Dude, I love
Jedi Starfighter was fun too.
that was fun. I like Star Wars Empire at War, the point and click adventure or whatever it is.
What-
Art,
What about
Yeah,
Shadows of the
yeah.
Empire? Did you like Shadows of the Empire?
that was fine.
Oh,
Back on the
and-
N64?
Yeah.
It's not as good. So the elements of the flying aren't as good as Rogue Squadron, so I never went back
Oh,
to
of course not. Yeah.
and it kind of honestly, Shadows of the Empire sucks, and it always kind of has sucked. It's just one of those early 3D platformers that we were like, oh man, look at it's got music and the sound effects from the movie, and you look at all this shit, and you're just like blown away by everything. But when you go back to play it, Shadows of the Empire is not a good game. Now, Rogue Squadron is a good game. Episode 1 Racer is a good game. They made great Star Wars games back then.
Pod
Shadows of the
Racer,
Empire-
that's a good racing game.
Oh, I still
Would
play
have been
that
better
game.
if it was multiplayer.
Yeah, that
Oh,
that is actually an underratedly good racing game.
I still play it, man.
Republic
Script-
Commando was solid too. Played
Lot of
that
great
one back
games.
on the Xbox.
Xavier to God says, when it comes to shows, do you guys prefer the intro at the start or a cold opening, then the intro? Also, do you prefer shows' intros to stay the same or change at some point with every season? I like these questions, Xavier to God. I actually was thinking about this the other day. When it comes to intros, I really don't care about the first part of your question. You know, cold opens are cool, but I also like, Dexter always has the opening because
Mhm.
it usually just has a previously on Dexter, which isn't, anything else.
Right.
But I do like how Dexter just starts and then the episode begins after that. I do like that uniformity. Oh, when it comes to the intros, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has really great ones. Those are pretty funny. So again, that's why I say I don't really care because I like both.
I think it's situational, honestly. I don't think you have to
Yeah.
be committed to one or the other. It's like if it makes sense to have a cold open and then the intro for a specific episode, do it. If it doesn't make sense to have the cold open, just do the intro and then start
That
the
70s show is, I'd say, 99.9% cold opens, and I think they work because those opening jokes are always good, and then they're underscored by the theme song kicking in, and then you're just like, yeah, here we go.
Most
Back to the
sitcoms have that format. It's just a lot easier for them to,
Mhm.
hook you, and then they get, oh, this was funny. What show is this? Boom, there's the title, and then you get into the cast, and then go back into the episode.
Bam, bam, ba, bam, 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 bam.
Oh yeah, I mean, like Barney Miller has a bunch of great cold opens. Most of them with Yamana, who makes the bad coffee, but that's a '70s sitcom that not many people are familiar with today.
I was with
dealing
that
with, like,
70s show and Seinfeld guy. Bit of Frasier.
Oh, okay.
Just saying.
Let's see. And to finish off, let's see. Do you prefer the show's intro to stay the same or change with every season? I don't really like when they change if they're good. For example, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Technically, it changes. They cut out the part about flying on the plane with the orange juice,
Mhm.
but it's still the opening. It's the same recording of the song.
Right.
It's just slightly changed. And after they
It
get
is
that
tweaked a
final
little.
edit, it never changes.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to say I prefer that because Dexter doesn't change. That 70s show only changed when new characters showed up or the cast slightly changed. And then they changed it at the end and then the show died. So
It's also a bit
I
of a cultural thing because anime is what's known for changing up the intro with every season. But that's because their animes typically when they do that, it's like, okay, so the anime has several seasons, right? And so like Naruto and Dragon Ball and One Piece.
Dude,
things
these
like
anime openings, they got to cut them down, man. Like this Dragon Ball Z Kai one, every episode has these like terrible, and I mean like terrible songs because the words are so literal. Like, get up and do this, and you're just like watching a guy stand, and you're like, what the fuck? Anyway, it just is stupid. I'm used to Dragon Ball Z music having some teeth to it, where it's like a guitar and this guy screaming about Dragon Ball Z and all this shit. That was my Dragon Ball Z, and that is still my Dragon Ball Z. Even though I choose to watch Kai to get the abridged version, I prefer my. I was just a kid and I thought it was cool and it was intense. And now you watch it as an adult and they have like horns and trumpets and all this other shit as these characters fight. You're like, it's not as intense. Like, make that shit like I want to feel like I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm also 35, so it's not gonna matter because I'm an adult and I watch this with a different eye. I go, ooh, that's a cool effect. How do I do that? Like that's kind of why I watch the show, to be honest.
Mhm.
It's not a whatever. Yeah, Xavier to God. That's kind of how I feel about it, man.
That's fair enough.
Xavier to God, thank you again. He says SSJ3 has the best theme from the Falconer score.
The music that was playing during those episodes was pretty rock solid, if I remember it correctly.
The one I'm watching on DBZ Kai doesn't have it has like, it recycles a lot of the same music. And so maybe it plays this like really cool techno beat, but it'll play it like a lot. It would play it for Cell, it would play it for Super Saiyan 3,
Right.
Goku, all this shit.
See, I remember a pretty rockin' electric guitar for Super Saiyan 3 on my DVD box set, but I also don't have Kai. I have the uncut, just like the whole bitch. So I can't watch. I know that they're filler episodes. Some of them are funny, some of them are fun, some of them are dumb. My OCD won't allow me to watch an abridged version of something if I know that there's a longer, more complete version of it. Even if the filler is a useless episode, it's like I gotta watch the whole thing. It's the same reason why if somebody's like, "Hey, you want to watch Lord of the Rings?" Sure. Which one are we watching? Oh, we're gonna jump into Two Towers. What? No, we're not. No, we gotta start with the first one. I can't just jump into something. I gotta watch the whole thing.
I can't do Lord of the Rings in one sitting ever again. I won't do it. I did it.
Have you done the extended edition in one sitting?
Yeah, it was the deluxe yeah, it started at 10 a.m. I got home at 2 something.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's a day.
The movies were good. I don't really have anything bad to say about them, but I experienced it, and that was it. It wasn't something I'm ever going to go back and do. I'm like, hey, guys, I saw it, and it was awesome. And that's all she wrote. Like, no, I'm not going to be picking up the books. I'm not going to be getting Aragorn action figures for my shelf. He was cool. I would watch The Fellowship again, but I don't think I would ever watch the other. And the thing is, I didn't dislike any of them. It's too much of a time commitment, and I don't get the same payoff. Like, when I watch Star Wars and the Death Star explodes, I'm like, yes, every time. I'm like, here we go. I've seen this 400 times, and here comes Darth Vader. I have you now. Here comes Han Solo, and there's the Death Star. But every time I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, oh man, Sean Bean got shot with an arrow. Oh, that was cool. But I don't feel anything. Like when I watch Back to the Future, when Marty's driving down the fucking Hill Valley Road, I'm like, is he going to make it? Of course he's going to make it. I've seen this movie 150 times. But every time I'm like, yes, come on, let's do this. I think just the epic nature of Lord of the Rings, it's so much at all moments that I'm just kind of like blown out when I watch. I'm just like, wow, that's a lot.
Fair enough.
That's it. Like I said, there's our
different
criticism
strokes.
of the film.
Different strokes. Not everybody has the exact same opinions and tastes, and that's okay.
Isn't it better that way, though?
It's absolutely better that way. 1000%.
Oh man.
Will they make a toy line, Jeff?
Oh yeah, Dead Rat Edits. Thank you. I did not mean to skip you, my friend. Will they make a toy line for this horrible show? There will inevitably be some sort of merchandise.
There was something. I don't think we're going to be seeing any of the high-end stuff.
No, like I have to do my research, folks. If you notice, we've been doing a lot more videos, and certain types of videos have been really reaching a lot of people. So expect more of that. So I got to make sure the research is just done right. Mm-hmm. And so I will look into the merchandise thing. But I can tell you for sure, if it is produced at too high of a volume, it will be at Ollie's or Ross. And when that is there, WCBS will be there because that is our toy series that everybody likes. I had a lady message me on the Stealing Solo website asking about something. And then she's like, oh, I love your videos about the toys. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, everybody watches those damn things. So let's do more. So folks, like I told you, we're expanding on that series. It doesn't mean Ollie's is going away. When I keep telling you guys stuff, we'll give you new stuff and we'll never get rid of the stuff you like. That's silly. I like doing the toy videos the way they are. So
what's the over under on a, I'll try and say this with a straight face. I promise. An OSHA hot toy.
Well, I don't want to say you're more likely to see Roger Corman Fantastic Four toys made, but I'll say You know what? That's not a good. You might not want to take that bet because they'll be able to sell it as a double figure. And so you'll get some people to bite just on the fact that you can swap the heads and you have both her and the sister in one toy for one price. Like you could really lower your what you make per unit and slightly up the value, and you could probably entice more people.
That makes me lose even more faith in humanity than I already have.
Not to mention, you'll get a handful of people that'll buy 2 of them so they can have both.
Dude, I'm
Use
like
both
5
heads.
seconds away from pressing this freaking pre-order button on this Darth Revan hot toy, and it'll be my first hot toy. So I gotta.
They're like Lay's potato chips. You can't get just one, so be prepared for a life of pain and expensive.
I gotta know what's gonna be the problem is my resin figures of my favorite Xenoblade characters. I'm gonna be getting.
Buddy, once you get a hot toy in your hand, look, it's not gonna make you like your statues any less, but you're gonna get this thing in your hand. You're gonna go, "This is real." It's
I need more.
yeah. Here's the thing I noticed about toys in general. Like as a kid, the Power Rangers were awesome, and the wrestlers were awesome. And then I realized what makes them even more awesome, because I don't play with them, is when you see them all together, it kind of like creates this illusion of depth. So when you stand all these hot toys together, it's kind of weird because it just looks like a bunch of actors standing around in movie costumes, but they're this tall, and it's a really cool illusion.
Right.
So just be prepared, because you're going to go like, oh man, I'll get Darth Revan, and then I'll get this character. Oh, Obi-Wan would be pretty cool, even though they don't fight this guy. And then you're like, well, now I need a Qui-Gon. And oh man, they're re-releasing Darth Maul. You will have $5,000 in hot toys before you know it. Be careful, my man.
No.
Because then you're going to go, oh, Andrew Garfield, that one looks even better. I need that one. Because Andrew Garfield's hot toy looks like this shit. It's awesome. It's a great looking figure. Original or new release. Yeah, I think the new release comes with his face. Point is, you need to be careful. Like, 1 is going to be difficult. Bank on 3, and then talk to me. Okay.
Here's the thing. I have made the commitment that the only Star Wars figures I am buying are that of Old Republic, or if they have to do with the Jedi Fallen Order games. So unless they also make one of Basta Lashan and Cal Kestis, it's just going to be Revan for me.
You might want to look and see if a Cal Kestis already exists.
I don't think it does. I think I already own every Cal Kestis figure that they've made, and it's all Black Series stuff. Actually, they made one that's like they made one that was in like the classic smaller scale ones, and I was like, yeah, but I'm not interested. I don't like the super small ones. It's not my bag. But I bought all of the other ones.
Xavier to God, thank you. He says WCBS should visit comic book, video games, and movie stores. Duly noted, sir. I will definitely be visiting all sorts of fun stores. Because I looked
do
back,
that when you go to Japan too.
Oh, you got to remember, this is a build to Japan. We're going to be doing this extra series because we're gonna go to these stores in the area, and then we're gonna take it out of state. Then we're gonna go even further and further and further. Like I keep saying, folks, we're putting the world in world-class bullshitters. So be on the lookout for this new video series. It'll have a name. It'll be catchy. It'll get a jingle. All that bullshit. We'll get it. Don't worry. But don't worry. The Ollie's toy videos that you love will stay and will expand. I'm gonna go on an Ollie's road trip very soon, a few 100 miles south. So be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. But there'll be a newer one before that. Thank you, Xavier to God. Jeff Stark, a member for 11 months. Jeff Stark, thank you very much for everything, my friend. He says, what's up, Jeff? Just finished both episodes. Yeah,
Sorry
Jeff,
to hear that.
if not for you guys, I wouldn't be watching this, obviously. But I wasn't satisfied. I don't have to put on a disappointed face for the audience tonight. It's just the truth.
Well, here was by comparison, like when we watched Ahsoka, and we actually did a watch party for that, right? For those first 2 episodes.
Yes, we did.
On the channel, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir, we did.
After that first episode, I was like, okay, that wasn't amazing, but it wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen. And then with episode 2, I was like, all right, that wasn't good. And then it just dropped off a cliff even further right after that. And it became this like never-ending side quest that went nowhere for things that made no sense, to places that we didn't care about, to find people that didn't really have any purpose. So it was a whole, to Script's point earlier, it was just one big useless side quest to nowhere for nothing, to see no one.
Yeah.
and that's what Ahsoka was. It was a bad show by the end of it. It was a really, really bad show. The reason why I so far dislike and I'm having a harder time with the Acolyte more so is because now they don't even have the benefit of inserting characters that we are already familiar with. So far, Yoda is alive in this part of this part of the timeline. So whether or not he actually shows up in the series, I have no idea. I'm really, really hoping he doesn't, because I have a feeling they would crap all over him. But the issue with this is they don't even have that grace of like, oh, hey, like it's cool to see that character like portrayed in live action. Like they did a good job with the costuming there. That's fine. Whatever. I like Rosario Dawson. They gave her nothing to do in that show, which is unfortunate, because the show was bad. The script was bad. All of it was just bad. This show has nothing other than it just has to be entertaining on its own.
Mm-hmm.
At face value, it doesn't have the benefit of nostalgia as much as they try to sell you on it. Like, hey, you remember Star Wars? Do you remember The Matrix? Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
I do. And this ain't it.
Nope. Now, Andrew,
it's just bad.
check the private chat, man. Xavier to God says, fuck, marry, kill, Venoms, Eddie Brock, Flash Thompson, Harry Osborn. This is easy. Marry Eddie Brock, you fuck Flash Thompson, you kill the Harry Osborn, because Flash Thompson Venom, Agent Venom, had some good shit.
He did. There was some cool stuff with that.
I'm glad you read that. I didn't think a lot of people read that era of Spider-Man.
A ton of people didn't, but it was good.
Because Marvel's been woke forever, and I go, no, Marvel, the complaint era that we all bitch about is 2013 on. It's not pre-2013. That stuff was solid, man.
Well, it really all started with the all new, all different stuff is where Marvel really started falling off a cliff. That's where Marvel started falling off a cliff. Agent Venom was actually a really cool concept to me as a Spider-Man fan, and especially as somebody that I love a lot of the ideas, emphasis on ideas and concepts that were presented in the 90s, not necessarily some of the execution, like Clone Saga, Clone Conspiracy, and all of that. But the symbiotes, I love Venom, I love Carnage, and so tying that into the story of Flash Thompson, making him this war hero, he had lost his legs and all of this, and like what they did with him was actually really cool to me. I was like, wow, this is oddly interesting. And at first I didn't think it was going to be like that, because I'm one of those people that's like, no, this is the character that has that. That's what they go by. It's not anybody else's thing. This is Eddie Brock's thing. And then I was like, oh, well, this is, well, how about that? Right?
Oh, speaking of Eddie Brock's thing, we got Fuck, Marry, Kill, Venom, Carnage, and Toxin, and thoughts on Venom 3. I haven't watched the trailer myself, so
you
have
haven't?
to comment on it. No, I don't care, because I didn't see Let There Be Carnage until like months later.
That movie was not good.
Years later.
Okay, I saw Venom Weekend 1 in theaters. I didn't see Venom Let There Be Carnage in theaters. I did end up seeing the movie eventually. It was very disappointing for me as somebody who really likes Carnage. The trailer for the new one is okay. I was like, all right, well, like that trailer's fine, but in retrospect, so is the trailer for Let There Be Carnage. So it may not be a particularly good movie. As far as the FMK goes, Marry Venom, F Carnage, kill Toxin. Like Toxin's the only one. Toxin is actually a good guy. But I don't care about good symbiotes, to be honest. For the most part, I like Venom best when he's lethal protector at most. Like make him an anti-hero. Don't give me this like he's just plain good guy. No, he's still gonna bite somebody's head off. He's still gonna kill somebody.
Folks, we have almost 500 people watching again. Do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button, and join us next week. Guys, I think based on the turnout, we have to talk about this next week. People have to hear about this. They want more acolytes. So, yeah, instead of trying to go like, hey, we're going to cover, look at, you want this. There are so many people here. So join us next week at the same time. But you're enjoying this show.
Note to
You're up
restock
late
my
with
wine
us.
on Monday night.
You will have to restock your member. Folks, you are up with us late this time of night. You are always looking for more entertainment. Join us on Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and hang out with the WCBS crew. That show is a lot crazier, a lot zanier, but it's pop culture related. So if you're finding us and you haven't found us in the past, well, that's what we're going to be doing. And it'll be episode 404. So it might be is it 403? We'll say 404 error jokes for next week. But join us then at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're live those times each and every week here on YouTube. The algorithm and the way the distribution of videos goes, you may not know we're live, or you may not have heard from us for a while, but we haven't gone anywhere, and we're not actually going anywhere. So we just want to tell you guys this ourselves, and we're going to keep things creative to let everybody know that WCBS, well, folks, we want 200K. That's a given. But we want the gold play button. That's the 1 million. So I'm not stopping until we get to 10. Like, hey, WWE's got diamond. Why not us? We're world class. Let's make that shit happen together. So let's make that new video series a big hit, folks. Watch it the way you watch the Ollie's toy videos, and then I'll go out and give you even more shit. Maybe one day we'll do record stores. Who knows? But as long as you guys are there, I'll be there to cover it. So let's see. As is dead chicken says, wait. Kathleen Kennedy said, this is inclusive. You guys should love this. You are included. I will go back your epic Geode meltdown instead of this BS.
Yeah, I don't care if it's inclusive or not. Just make it good. I've been saying that all damn night. Like, I don't care. Like, sell me on the main protagonist for a series, a Star Wars series, whether it's, you know, a TV series or films, whatever. Sell me on a black female protagonist. I don't care. You know how easy that is? Just make her good. Make her likable. Give her a good script. That's it. I'll be down. It's that easy.
Yeah.
I don't care how inclusive or not inclusive it is. It's Star Wars. So I guess inclusion is easy to do because you have all these different alien races to pull from, and you can be like, okay, sure, we have humans that look Asian here, we have humans that look black here, we have humans that look whatever here. Fine, whatever. Easy. Just write them well. That's all you have to do. That seems to be the one thing you can't do. Good job, Disney Lucasfilm. 0 out of 10.
Let's see. We got one more. And Dead Rats, I love the Star Wars arcade games. They were the tits back in the day. Yes, I played all of them throughout the years. Do I own them all? No, not yet. Maybe one day I'll get a machine. Xavier to God says, could Topher Grace have worked as Carnage?
No.
No, he's not.
I don't buy him as a villain.
No, he's like a smarmy dick. Like, he would work. To me, he's as effective of a villain as Patton Oswalt. He looks more versatile, but I really do think they're equally intimidating.
He lacks the acting range to play a villain, especially like, okay, so for Eddie Brock, you have to just be imposing because Eddie Brock is supposed to be a freaking meathead in terms of just like how he looks, right? Cletus Cassidy is supposed to be very imposing in a different manner. Psychotic murderer. He's a serial killer, right? He's a psychopath. And I cannot picture, even by stretching my brain as far as I possibly could. Some days, you know, mileage may vary. I don't buy Topher Grace being able to do that at all.
Nor do I. Now, folks, we're going to go. We're going to keep this show under 2 hours. So join us next week. We'll watch The Acolyte and then we'll go live after it. Xavier to God, thank you. He says, do you guys like Antivenom or Venom 2099?
I don't like any of the 2099 stuff personally. Antivenom was an interesting concept. Didn't actually get used that much. That was a Dan Slott thing.
I didn't think Antivenom was terrible either. But I don't even remember Venom 2099 off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and read it to give you an opinion. Our friend Headcase Laboratory says, can you review one of my scripts, Mr. Script Doctor? Yeah, Script Doctor, where can we find you on Patreon, and how can people contact you with questions like this to get your
Yeah.
Sage
Well,
Like
if
advice?
you want coverage, I make it very affordable. Rates are pretty cheap. But yeah, you can reach out to me on Twitter X at ScriptDoctorPhD, or you can sign up for my Patreon at patreon.com/ScriptDoctor, where I give discounts on my coverages and all my and also my workshops that I use to help get writers into great shape with their screenplays. So feel free to reach out to me on those two platforms, and I'll be happy to help you out.
Guys,
thank you,
Script
Headcanon.
understands story structure incredibly well. He's very well read. He understands this stuff. If you are an aspiring writer, whether you're trying to write a screenplay